This recipe is for a chocolate hazelnut mousse. It's a really simple recipe, and it's a Nadia Hussain one from her books and her TV shows. I've halved it and it should serve 4. So we're going to start off. I put in a basin on the scales, and I'm going to use Nutella, but you could use any chocolate spread, and I'm going to put 100 grams into a microwave proof basin. And this is just going to soften it a little. We don't want to get it too hot because it needs to cool down then before mixing into cream. And into that I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of milk, so it gives it a bit of a softer mixture. So I'm using a measuring spoon and just going to put it in with it. I'm not going to mix it until it's melted a little. So I'm now going to put that in the microwave. I'm going to give it 10 seconds, then stir it, and then another 10 seconds. That should be enough. So after the first 10 seconds, nothing much has happened. It's just a bit softer. So I'm going to spread it through the milk a little bit more and give it another 10 seconds. So even though it doesn't really look as if it's melted enough, I can feel that it's a bit warm, and it's just going to start looking a bit more sort of like a hot chocolate cocoa-y mixture, and that milk should mix through. Now if I melted it more, it would happen quicker, but then I'd have to wait longer for it to cool. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to give it a good mix, and it should go like a chocolate sauce, and it actually does smell like a hot chocolate. Before I put my cream in the mixing bowl, I'm going to get the dry ingredients ready. So I've got some cornflour, and I only need half a tablespoon of that. So I'm going to use a half tablespoon measuring spoon and level it off. That's going to go in. And the next thing I need then is 1.5 tablespoons of icing. And I'm going to use the same spoon. So because it's a half spoon, I'm going to measure it 3 of them. Now this icing sugar's a little bit lumpy, so what I'm going to be doing is sieving it into the cream. So I'm going to get a sieve ready next. So I'm going to get the cream ready. It's double cream. It's a 300 ml pot. Give it a good shake before you open it. And pour it all in. When you leave it settle a minute, you will get quite a bit more that you can pour in. I'm not going to throw it away just yet. As you can see, there's quite a bit more that settled down the sides. Before I start to whisk, I'm going to add the icing sugar, which will sweeten it, and the cornflour that will help to stabilize and thicken it. If it won't go through the sieve properly, use the back of a spoon, any spoon. I've just got this one handy, and tap it against your hand. That will do. And the next thing you need is an electric whisk. You could do it with a balloon whisk, but it would take you a very long time. I'm going to whisk it until it gets thick. When you're whisking, it really helps to move. I turn the bowl and I also move the whisk around, so you're not whisking the same bit all the time. That's been about 2 minutes so far, and it's nowhere near. So I'm going to keep going. So it's almost there. It's quite thick now, so what I'm going to do is just finish it off carefully on a slower speed, because if you over whip it, you'll ruin it and turn it into butter. And it literally needed just those few more seconds. You can now pop your beaters out because you don't need those again. Put those straight in the sink. Don't need the mixer. And for the next step, you can either use a tablespoon or you can work with a spatula. So this has now had a few minutes to cool down a bit, but it's not been there long enough to set. You can see it's quite a liquid mixture. So I'm going to use my spatula to get it all out. I don't want to waste any. Wipe the spatula on the edge of the basin and then you get that last bit out. Try not to wipe it on your mixing bowl, that just makes a mess and you lose your mixture. So I'm going to go around the edge of the cream and then cut through the centre with the narrow side of the spatula. So you're sort of slicing through it, and that helps to mix it through without beating the cream anymore. So what you're going to have now at this point, if you wanted to add in any nuts, you could do. If you wanted to put in some chocolate chips, you could do. If you wanted to fold some raspberries or chopped strawberries, that's something else you could do. Or you might want to save those to layer. So that's something else we can do. You can also stop when it's partly mixed if you want a bit of a marbled look. I'm going for fully mixed. Going right underneath just to see if there's any cream that hasn't mixed in. So I think that's quite enough. I'm going to just wipe on the edge and then bring it back down so you don't end up with mess around the bowl and you're not losing your mixture. I'm now going to get my dishes to put it in. It's up to you what you put them in. You could use these plastic containers that I've got. You could use a glass ramekin. You could use a china one. You could put it all in one tub and then just serve it at home. Now, to make the serving up easy, I'm going to use an ice cream scoop and I'm going to just drop it in. It is going to need more than one, and I'm going to come back to them. This is supposed to serve 4, but I think I'm going to end up with a bit more than that because these aren't particularly big. So I'm going to do 4 for the moment, and what I'm going to do with them is to use the back of a teaspoon and just press it in, sort of bob the spoon up and down, turn the little pot, and what you should end up with then, apart from a little slip there, is no mess up the sides. And if you wanted to layer something in between, you can, and if you don't, it just gives you a flat surface ready to put your next spoon. So what I am going to do is sprinkle some chopped nuts on that one, flatten it out a little, put another layer on top. Same method, just bob it up and down. So that could be quite nice with strawberries or raspberries or blueberries, a little bit of raspberry sauce, and you should be able to see the layers because it's a glass dish. Obviously you're not going to get that with the other ones, and if you want to, I'm going to show there's nuts in it by putting some on top. And you can do the same sort of thing with the others. Put the scoop sort of in the bowl. You're less likely to make a mess. And if it goes all up the side of your scoop, clean it off before you do the next one. So I've done 4. I think I'm going to do a 5th one. And what I'm going to make sure I do is get all of that mixture out of the bowl. Use my spatula, really come around the edges and put it into the scoop off the spatula so I get a much neater entry into the bowl. Now if you want to top them with fruit or shards of chocolate or grated chocolate, that's something else you can do. I think this one's going to end up a little bit bigger now. So it's up to you. If you could aim for 6, I'm going to go for squeezing it into 5. If your dishes are bigger, you might get 4. It is nice if you can have them well presented, especially if you're thinking of an exam. A wine glass would look good, or a tumbler. So once you've smoothed them all out, just again with the back of your spoon, if you've made any mess, you get a little bit of kitchen roll or tissue and you just pinch around the edge with a new piece do the next one. Get a new clean piece. And just really check them over if they look best presented. Quite a nice simple way of decorating them is, without melting any chocolate, to use a potato peeler, preferably a better one than this. I'm going to change that. Right, that's better. This works well too if the chocolate is nice and cold, and I'm just going to get some curls. I'm working over the tray because obviously some are going to miss, and then I can just scoop them up and put them in. So if you've got darker or white chocolate, it's going to show up a bit more, but you do get, you can see that now, quite nice looking chocolate curls. You can also melt the chocolate and make it into chocolate shards, so you could use that then once it's set, break it up and just arrange it on there, make it stand up a little. You could use a mixture of white and milk and dark if you wanted to, and you can obviously sprinkle them with some nuts, whatever you want to do. So they're going to go and chill now, and once they set off a little, I'm going to cover them with cling film, ready to transport them.